This is week 6 of my Minecraft Everyday series. This week I get a beacon and a vine farm going. But first, a world tour.
Hello, and welcome to today's video. This one's going to be a little bit different in that we're doing a world tour. I'm doing one now because it's been just over a month since I started, and it seemed like a good idea to take stock of sort of how things are going, where we're up to, what the plans are for the future, that kind of thing. And I'll check back in every 2 to 3 months and do another world tour and show what's new. So to get started, as you can see, we're in my main house at the moment. We'll just switch back to first person. So right now I've got a few shulker boxes out from where I was enchanting my gear. I've been gathering my gunpowder to make lots of TNT to go and get the netherite to upgrade all of my gear. That will be happening soon. This is the main house. It's basically just a storage room at the moment. So we've got main storage there. Got bed, little bit of decoration, crafting area. So this is my drop box. So whenever I've been running around doing a few things, I just come over here, drop anything that I'm not using. And then in here I've got my resupply box. Sometimes I accidentally seem to be dropping things in here as well. But here I can, top up my food and top up my rockets. Do that now. And then you may have seen in the videos, if you've been watching, there is actually a ladder here that goes up. But I've never actually shown what's up here in a video. And it's several villages. I didn't know they were up here. Hi guys. Secret meeting room, it seems. Maybe we could do something creative with this. I just thought that was just going to be an empty room up there. That's hilarious. Okay, so moving on. We've got the house. Let's head outside. Got my crafting area here. I do want to build like a little fishing hut. Possibly around here somewhere. And move my enchanting setup into that and sort of decorate the outside and make it look pretty good. This horse has been stuck in this pen since I first started on this world, so it's nice to keep him around. Maybe we should give him a name at some point. There's a random shulker box of just enchanting stuff. So we've got the main village area here. We'll head on in. So the villages are pretty much free roaming, except for the villages that are in here. So this part of the build is just sort of the interior so far. I may decorate it a bit more. Right now it's more functional than it is decorative. But this is for all of my enchantments. And then out the back here we've got where the conversion happens to get nice cheap trades. So I'll probably be copying this design or this interior a few times. So I'm thinking once more to the side. And then those 2 units copied over here as well. So have a nice big building with lots of villagers in, lots of space for having a bunch of each of the different villager professions. So we can do lots of trading, get lots of emeralds and do all that kinds of fun stuff. Around here is where the entrance is into the conversion chamber. And then as you might be able to hear, just over here is the frog room. Lots of frogs. Not 100% sure what we're going to be doing with them yet. Probably making some frog-like farms, but I've not built one before, so that will be a new and exciting thing to do. Then out of the village, we've got this little makeshift crop area, which I still sometimes use. And then down into the mine, there's looks like a zombie or something down there. Let's go have a look. So there's not too much to report about this. It's just despawned. It's just a big hole in the ground with a room that I've sort of dug out and then a few mine shafts going in various directions, or just to get lots of blocks. Now over here we have the remains of the village that was here when I first started. I will most likely be ripping all this out and putting probably just a nice exterior garden for what will be the big main housing unit. And then quickly looking at the farms, we've got the big tower that's still half under construction for the iron farm. Iron golem being killed, and then we get the iron bars down in here. Now I think a enderman came and took some gravel away, so I need to replace that hole. We've got the melon pumpkin farm that needs decorating. The portal to the nether, which is a nice little bit of decoration that I got from TikTok. This is the creeper farm. Now I'm thinking of building like murals into the side, so maybe I'll make like a stone build and then have like a different coloured block to make a mural. And I wanted to do like some Pokemon or something because I really like Pokemon and I wanted to include them somewhere. As we're going through, we've got fields of copper blocks that look, I think they're all done now, so I can get those up on the next episode. We've got the bee farm, which I haven't checked on in a long time. It's doing very well. It probably needs a top up of all the bottles and shears and things. And then obviously we've got the pathing with the lighting that we put in. And the mushroom farm, that's been going gangbusters. Got lots of mushrooms coming through that. I did have a problem where I think an enderman took this block. And then when the hopper clock switched over, the water came out here and broke this comparator, breaking the farm. So it's just something to be aware of, I suppose. But it doesn't look like there's any mushrooms currently grown, which is good. That means it's working and harvesting. We've got the super smelter that's got some copper in it and lots of bamboo that I think has mostly been used up now. So I think I've spent some time AFK recently, so hopefully there's a decent amount of bamboo in here. Yeah, we're missing a door, it seems. I don't know what's happened to that. That's where'd the door go? But we've got the sugarcane and bamboo farm in the beautiful building that's definitely not a face, but accidentally turned into a big face. Nice big build. I like the little eyebrows that I put on top. That makes me happy. And I think that's pretty much everything that I've really done here. Because a lot of my time has been build a farm and then come back later and do a build around it. It's sort of taking twice as long to progress than I normally would, because I'm not normally a big builder, as you can probably tell by the way that all the buildings look exactly the same. But I'm working on trying to do some more creative things and be more interesting. Yeah, out the back of here, I want to create a nice area for the sheep to live in. We'll get rid of all of this. I think that's a creeper hole. And we'll get rid of all that sugarcane and stuff. Set this up to be like a nice field, I guess, that the sheep can roam around in. Add some little decorative bushes and lots of little flowers and bits of grass and stuff. Make it look nice and natural. I think that's a good idea. So with the farms being built up along here, it's all very on purpose. So I want to continue building. If I've got any more farms, off the top of my head, I've got nothing that I urgently need. But I'm open to adding more farms along here, because my main mega base, I'm going to build it out in the water around here. If you've ever tuned into one of my streams, you might have seen when I previously tried to start the Minecraft Everyday project and it got way out of hand. So I restarted, and what I was working on there was my mega base. I think I started it a bit too early. It's going to be a big pentagon built out in the water, and it'll be like a classical kind of structure with big pillars and archways and stuff, but it will be repurposed, and I'll have like pipes with the stuff coming from the automatic farms getting piped into the storage system in there, and like little bits of technology sticking out, and then nice lavish rooms and stuff for me to live in. Yeah, that'll be a big project that will take quite a while to do, but for now I'm just going to head back over to where I finished the last episode, which was the very super quick 1 minute episode that resulted me in doing the finest build I've ever done. My little cobblestone hole, my little safety hole, where there's now a creeper coming to kill me. Oh dear. Well, that concludes the world tour. Let's head back to home and go do a sleep. We'll finish off where we started. Now, with the many stacks of gunpowder I collected a couple of days ago, I need to get a ton of sand blocks to use together in crafting TNT. What's the purpose of the TNT? Why, hunting for netherite. Or ancient debris, of course. So with the sand collected, I went back to base and quickly got everything ready to go to the nether, and to start the tricky task of trying to find netherite in the wild. As soon as I stepped through the portal is when the trouble began. A creeper came from the side, blowing up and destroying the portal. I quickly checked my inventory and realised that I have no way to relight the portal. A rookie mistake. So I came up with a plan to make a fire charge using items that I can find in the nether. You need blaze powder, coal and gunpowder. The first two I got fairly easily, but getting gunpowder from a ghast and having it not falling into the lava is pretty tricky. Then, whilst flying around waiting for ghasts to spawn, I found a bastion remnant. Thinking that a fire charge is a treasure that I could very likely find in one of the chests in here, I ventured on in. I remember dying in one of these a couple of weeks ago, but this time I'm fully geared and will take things nice and slow, which was going really well up until I came across a piglin brute that for some reason was taking way more hits to kill than usual, and then when I went to hit him with my sword, he got me first. My health completely depleted in 3 quick hits. Now thankfully, I set up some spare gear sets, so I re-geared at home, grabbed a flint and steel, and went back through to the nether. Now, because of the portal breaking when I came through, a new one actually generated, so I relit the old one and then headed back to where I died. I managed to get back and reclaim most of my things. The death did cause one of the stacks TNT to fall into the lava, but as far as losses go, that's not the worst. Of course, I then got a bit too greedy, and went for the treasure at the bottom of the room, and I got bounced into the lava by a freshly spawned magma cube, but I was able to fly out and save myself, pulled my socks up, and got back down to the treasure, covering myself with blocks to keep the baddies out while I got all the good loot, including my first piece of netherite scrap. With the full inventory, I went back to the overworld, but on the way, I killed a wither skeleton, which dropped my first wither skeleton skull. With my pockets emptied, I went back to the nether, and found a spot to try looking for netherite. I dug out some long tunnels and filled them with TNT before sparking the first one with my bow, and after the explosion cleared, I went back through. By the time I used up all of my TNT, I had just enough ancient debris that once processed, I could finally upgrade my main pieces of armour. My tools will just have to wait until next time. Another week, another stream. At this point, I'd really like to get a beacon going, and seeing as I recently got a wither skeleton skull, I decided that I would hang out with chat whilst hunting wither skeletons in the nether. I spent roughly an hour there, and killed many wither skeletons, all to no avail. And then, seeing as my supplies were starting to run low, I decided to leave the nether and do something else. As I made my way back to the portal, I kept killing the big scary skeletons, and one actually finally dropped a wither skeleton skull. So I decided to press my luck and take a quick detour to kill a few more wither skeletons. And would you know it, but about a minute later another one dropped. With all 3 required skulls in hand, it was definitely then time to fight the wither. With a suggestion from chat, I decided to have a bit of fun and dug out a room to spawn some iron golems in to see if they could take on the wither without me. I then spawned in the wither, and the iron golems quickly got to work. They were able to bring the wither's health bar down to below half before they were finally all taken out. So I ran on in and finished off the wither with my superior fighting skills. I grabbed the nether star and took it home to craft a beacon. A super useful item for mining lots of blocks quickly, however you do need a bunch of expensive blocks to make it work. I decided that since I have lots of villages set up for trading, that I will use emerald blocks to make up my beacon pyramid. Unfortunately, it was taking a long time to get all of the trading done for all of the emeralds, so I'll finish that up tomorrow. On the back of yesterday's great success, I realised that it was probably time to expand the converted villager holding setup, so I can quickly and easily do all of the trading that I need to get lots of emeralds and XP. I built the new section directly onto the back of the first one, which when it is finished will mean I can easily transfer a couple of the non-librarians into the new section. As I worked on the build, I quickly realised that the frog room was going to be in the way, so I brought the wall in a bit to make some space. I then finished the build, matching the floor and ceiling designs to the original. With the main build done, I broke through the back wall of the 2 cells that were holding the toolsmith and the armourer to bring them in through to the new area. With them in place, I noticed that the build completely blocks the path that I'd been using into the conversion room, so I set up a new rail path up and over the build. At one point, there was an iron golem in the way, so I tried to kill him, but he got me first. I quickly got back and finished the fight once and for all. I then got back to work converting villagers into zombies and curing them before moving them back into position. I'm now mostly adding farmers to the holding area, so I can get more emeralds for my melons and pumpkins, which I'll be trading for tomorrow. I continue today with more villager conversion, starting with filling in the now 2 free spaces in the librarian area. I then rolled their trades a bunch of times, occasionally taking breaks to buy a bunch of bookshelf blocks to break them down and sell the books for a profit. I eventually decided to keep an impaling 5 book trade while continuing to try to get efficiency on the other librarian. After all of this extra trading, I realised that I finally had enough emeralds to craft into blocks and build a beacon pyramid. So I went down into my mineshaft and grabbed the coordinates of the room I had dug out. Back on the surface, those coordinates led to a spot in the water, so I built a little shaft and dug down to provide line of sight to the sky for where I will place the beacon. Once back down into the mineshaft, I used the emerald blocks to build the pyramid part of the beacon. With everything in place and the beacon lit up, I enabled the Haste 2 beacon power. After a quick test to see my new insta-mining abilities, I decided that I wanted to try to find some dripstone, mainly to make a lava generator farm. After checking all of the caves that I can easily find from the surface, I didn't find anything, so I landed at the stronghold to start gathering some of the stone brick blocks that it is made out of. You see, I plan to make my mega base entirely out of these blocks, and I think that gathering them like this will be slightly faster than mining stone doing all the crafting required for all of the different blocks. I did have to deal with silverfish pretty frequently, but I was able to get about a shulker box full of different blocks before I ran out of time for the day. I loaded into the game still in the stronghold, so I decided to start the day by filling my inventory with more stone brick variations, whilst continuing to deal with the constant threat posed by the silverfish that have taken up residence in the blocks of the stronghold. On returning to my base area, I noticed that the hopper minecart had disappeared from underneath the melon and pumpkin farm. Actually, this has been happening every couple of days, and I've just been replacing the minecart each time. This time I put a ring of blocks around the minecart area to hopefully stop whatever is breaking them from being able to do it again. Now, I also want to produce lots of mossy cobblestone blocks for my upcoming base build, so I decided to make a vine farm, as you can combine these with cobblestone to make mossy cobblestone. First I flew to a nearby jungle to grab some seed vines that will grow in the farm. Then I made a quick stop at the ice farm to grab some ice, and then I went to the build location, and I did a little bit of terraforming to make a nice big flat area for the farm to sit on. I laid out the basic footprint of the farm area. It's actually just a big loop that the players push through by water flows, while they constantly chop down the vines that are growing. I crafted the ice into packed ice, and then grabbed some stone pressure plates. I then added in the water flows. The pressure plates stop the water flows from going backwards, and the ice keeps the player sliding into the next water flow. When testing things out, I noticed that I wasn't being pushed very far in the ice, so I decided to use blue ice, which is the slipperiest. You craft it from packed ice blocks, meaning you need 81 regular ice blocks to craft one blue ice block, and my piddly little ice farm is not going to cut it. So I made it much bigger, and made sure that it's fully square too, making managing the farm much easier. Once I finished it, I stood on top to let the water freeze. It was then that I noticed the nearby hillside covered in packed ice. So I flew over and spent a solid 5 minutes filling my entire inventory, completely invalidating the last hour or so of making the bigger ice farm. And with all of that, I'll finish the vine farm tomorrow. Firstly, I did some testing off camera, and I realised that if I take my boots off, then I slide all the way across the ice in the vine farm, which means that the rest of the farm is cleared for construction. First up, I built the supports for the vines, and then placed the seed vines down for them to start growing. Now, because this farm is one that I have to actively take part in, then I'm going to need a protective build around it to prevent the nighttime baddies from being able to kill me. To accommodate this, I did a bit more terraforming on the hill to expand the space around the farm. For the build around the farm, I'm building another house-type build, but this time I'm using all wood blocks. So I gathered some spruce and I used the logs for the frame. And then I gathered some oak logs, and using a combination of the planks and strip logs, I built the walls. I wasn't going to have enough time today to finish the roof, so I babysat my character while I did a quick test of the farm. I noticed that the vines along the back wall were not being collected, so I added a row of stone to stop the vines from popping off and falling behind and out of reach. I also gathered a bit more than a full stack of vines during this test. A decent result.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to keep up with my videos. Likes and comments tell the algorithm to show my videos to more people, so that's always a big help too.